There are four properties of muscular tissue, no matter what type of muscular tissue we're talking about. And the first property is that it is excitable. So we have excitability as a property. So this means that it responds to electrical stimuli. And this electrical stimuli is a change in charge. So we're going to talk about what this electrical stimuli is, but the nervous system can generate an impulse, an electrical impulse, and it can actually release neurotransmitters into the synapse with the muscle. And then the binding of the neurotransmitters changes the membrane, and it changes the electricity inside of the muscle cell. So the ions and the movement of the charged particles in and out, like sodium and potassium. So we're going to talk about this excitability in detail. The other characteristic is that it has contractibility. Right, so it is able to, or contractility, let's write it that, let's write it better. Contractility is what they call it, tility. Okay, so this is the ability to shorten. So in order for muscles to do work, they have to shorten. And so we're going to talk about how these muscle cells do this. So to do work, muscles must shorten. They do not push, muscles only pull. Especially when we're talking about the muscles of the, so actually we'll talk about skeletal muscles. Skeletal muscles only pull. They don't push to do work. And so we're going to talk about this, but the muscles have inside of them these myofilaments, and it is referred to as a sliding filament model. So when the muscle is stimulated, these filaments slide against each other and the muscle shortens. And then when the muscle stops contracting, then it goes back to its resting length. And so that is the idea of contractility. The third thing is, let me get this right, extensibility. Extensibility. So this means that muscles can lengthen. So we know this because we can stretch our muscles, our skeletal muscles, but even the muscles like in your stomach, in order for the stomach to get larger when we eat a big meal, we have to have extensibility, right? There has to be some ability for the muscles to be pulled, and that is because of the food entering into the stomach. And so we're going to talk about how muscles can be extended. And then we'll also talk about the role that the connective tissue plays in this. So muscles can lengthen. The fourth thing is that muscles have elasticity. And that means that they tend to come back to a resting position. So when we stretch a muscle, it will kind of naturally come back to rest. So we'll say that when it is stretched, it has the ability to come back to a normal length. And this has to do with elastin and connective tissue, but it also has to do with the the elastic properties that we see within the muscle. And so this is important because we have an optimal stretch to our muscles, so that if we stretch them too much, like if you stretch your muscles way too much, then it is actually not going to be able to do as much work. So we want this optimal contraction so that it can then, when it actually extends, it can come back to a place where it can then contract. And so that is the idea of muscles being elastic.